My Fightertown set, extremely adversarial, has finally arrived from Hannants. They arrived last week on Tuesday or Wednesday. It is now the Wednesday after the bank holiday, and obviously I told you I went away this weekend, so I haven't had a chance to put the decals down yet, and plus I've been painting around the cockpit with the enamel paint, so that's another reason why I haven't put them down. So here's what you get, and you do get a lot. Right, so here's your front cover of the set, and you get shows you the various paint colours for the F5s and the A4s that you can do, and you get 7 sheets, 7 sheets of camo colours. So turning the front cover over, you get the one here, and it also explains it in federal colours because these were produced in America. Like I said, you get 7 sheets. There's the first sheet. Here's the second sheet, double-sided sheets, by the way. Here's another one. Here's another one. So I said this really good sheet because I thought, you know, there was actually 5 pages of decals, because this "please do not bend" envelope was actually quite heavy, to be honest. Continuing on, yet another sheet, and then it goes on to your F5s. Turning that over again more, and then I think this is the last sheet. Yeah, this is the last sheet. So you do get a lot of reference for this decal set, not bad at all. Right, here's your placement guide. So there's your A4 placement guide. And then you get your F5 placement guide. And then for the main event, the actual decal sheet itself. Right, measuring this with my metal ruler, it goes 29 centimeters long by 21.5 wide. So this is a big sheet. It's bigger than an A4 sheet. So it's going to give you a quick rundown of all the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of markings that you get. Absolutely the dog's bollocks. Now you get the stars for the MiG-28, but unfortunately it doesn't come with the roundels, because there's like a roundel circle there around the star, which is like a yellowy orange. So I'm going to have to probably do something about that myself, maybe draw it on with my pencil, with my Sharpie, and then paint it on myself. The section that I need for the top gun is this section here, and especially these, they're way more clearer than the ones on the man modelling sheet. Way more clear. My only gripe is you only get one name tag for each pilot, where on the others you get 2, one for each side. So you've got Lieutenant Hendricks Pyro, Captain Straight BOA or BOA, and just Viper. There's no Commander Metcalf. So I've had to do something about that. And then you get your subsidiary sheet, which is like a dinky tiny little sheet. That's an extra sheet. Now, to combat the fact that I've only got one Viper, I've got a little bit of clear paper left, and I've measured those, and they're like 14 mil long by 4 mil high. So I've gone on to paint, because I don't know how to use Photoshop. My kids are the Photoshop wizards, and just made these myself. I've got Commander Metcalf and Viper. I used Airborne 2 font. Airborne 2. Just go onto the fonts on the internet and get Airborne 2. And then I just put that in the paint. So I just did the rectangle, 25% skew angle, and then just filled it in with the gold colour, and then just typed the lettering in. Went on to Word, resized them to the It's 1.3 centimetre, 1.4 centimetres long and 0.4 centimetres wide. And then just printed them off. I've just got to do one more coat of the clear lacquer, and those will be ready to put on. But because these are on clear paper, I've had to print off my little test ones on normal paper, stick them to a bit of like pizza card, and just go around with a Sharpie and then just put the white on. So this, with that explained, this afternoon decals are starting to go down. Right, I can happily say that work on Viper's A-4 Skyhawk from Top Gun is all finished. The decals have gone down an absolute treat. The ones I bought from Fightertown from Hannants. They've been microsoled and sealed. And the last bit of construction's been done after I put decals down. And I can happily say I'm really, really well chuffed on how this has turned out. So here's the final reveal. Right, so turning around the camera, there's Viper's A4 Skyhawk in all its glory. So when I'd left you, I'd just give you a little bit of a rundown of the Fightertown decal sheet that I picked up from Hannants. If I'd have known what was going to happen with that man modelling decal sheet, I would have bought the Fightertown decals, because first things first, on the placement guide you get all the cockpit details for the ejector seat. You get loads and loads of decals for that, so you could actually dress up the ejector seat really well. So that's one good thing about this set. On the bottom of the sheet you've got all these decals, so just spend the 30 quid. It's going to be you're not going to regret it, because you're going to have loads of decals left over, and you could probably use them for other planes as well. I mean, obviously you won't be able to use like the name markings or anything, but a lot of the no-step decals and stuff like that, the warning decals, you could use on other planes as well. So that's just a little warning about the sheet. If I'd have known that, I could have dressed up the inside of the cockpit a bit better. Anyway, going back to the A4. So the first thing I did was I put the Commander Metcalf decal that I made by myself on my own clear paper, but I made the white bit a bit too big, so I had to let that dry, seal it, microsol seal it, and then just went with the enamel around the edges, took a couple of coats, and then once all that done, I could reseal it, ready for decals, because I also did the canopy as well, did all the masking with that with my 1mm masking tape. That took about 3 coats, and then I put the Commander Metcalf decal on, and then I had to seal all that as well, so because it was all matte, and I had to seal it to the gloss to put the decals down. And the one good thing about these Fightertown decals, they're the edges of the decal part of it, when you cut it slightly bigger than the actual decal, all the edges disappeared into the actual camouflage. So I'm well chuffed, because sometimes I get little light edges, even though I do gloss my models now. You still get little edges that you can see, but on this the edges have totally disappeared. So you've got all the rescue decals and the little warning decals. The lettering on these is absolutely tiny. So what I had to do is I got my specs on, and then I had to use my magnifying glass. You can just about make them out what it says on the decal, the warning decals, and then make sure to put them on the right way. Some of these decals are absolutely tiny, so just especially that it looks like a number 2. I don't know what it is, but that was absolutely tiny with my tweezers, and I'm just about to get it on. But the decals are really, really nice. You've got the US Navy like stars and stripes there. You've got the Navy logo there. You've got like, you know, that warning decal. One there's one there. You've got the registration decal for the A4, beware of blast. You've got the Top Gun logo as well, Fighter Weapons School. There's 2 sizes of those, by the way. I use the smaller one. So turning the Viper round, the Viper's A4 round. Rinse and repeat on the other side as well. Now, I made a mistake on the ones on the intakes. I should have put them like where the pencil is now, probably about 2 or 3 mil back. So that brown would have matched the green there. I made the mistake, so I just put them both the other side where that was. Because I didn't realise my mistake until they'd dried out, and I didn't fancy ripping them, getting them up again. So you've got all the number 55. Then you've got the refueling rod, the rig. You can either use the straight one or the bent one, and it slips into that little groove there. So I'll just put some super glue, let that cure, and then get some of that 10mm extra thin, let it sink in to give it a bit of extra security. So that's that done. And I said on the top as well. Now I'm going to pause this a sec so I can turn this over. Right, turning the A4 over. If you remember, I was wondering what that... Actually, turn the flash on. I was wondering what that was on the underneath. One of the guys on YouTube who commented, his name was IlserWY4. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. He gave me some right bloody good information on what that was. It was like the actual missile rack, and there's various different missiles on. I can't remember what he said what that was. If you remember, I was going to use the missile rack itself and then get a bit of sprue, but the one thing I've always emphasised, and some of you already know this, don't throw your spares away. If you remember from 8 years ago, I built a Humvee, a 135 scale Humvee, and these are the little missile rocket launcher pod that you stick on the top of the Humvee. I decided to use a Browning 50 cal instead of using the rocket launcher, and I've basically just repurposed one of these missiles off that. I didn't even bother painting it. I just left it the way it was. In the you got like the sand colour yellow, and then you've got NATO olive green. So that's what I've done for that. But the only problem was the belly mounted missile rack was too long. So what I did, if you remember when I filled the 2 holes in there for the underneath wing missile rack, I just used one of those and put that in. Glued, drilled into the actual missile, the bomb or the actual missile itself, the rocket, 2 holes, just glued it on, and then just glued that on there, painted on the camo, and like I said, I haven't bothered repainting it. So thanks to IlserWY4 for all your information. Thank you very much. You've been a great help. So that's what that is, and then you've obviously got the landing hook with, if it's going to land on a carrier. I just drilled a little hole here, mounted that in to lay it flat, and then that just leans up against that little piece of step there, and just a bit of super glue, and then once it cured, I then just ran some of the Tamiya extra thin to give it a bit of extra security. But that's the bottom of the A4 done. So if you have got a Humvee model kit and you've got those bomb missiles, use those for what that is. So I'm just going to pause this again to turn it back over. Right, and the one good thing about the canopy, you can actually still make out the Viper pilot in there, what I've represented Viper. Only problem is my custom seat, the canopy wouldn't mount 100% square, so it's perfect on this side, but on the other side there's a slight lip edge where it hasn't met properly, but apart from that, the canopy went down really well. You can still make out Viper underneath. I've cleaned that off with a bit of Future, or Pledge 4 polish as it is over here in the UK. But there it is, all finished, and I'm really well chuffed on how this has turned out. So just one last look at Viper's A4. Let's give you a little turnaround tour. And there she is, all done. So I want to thank you for sticking with me for all my trials and tribulations of having to get all the aftermarket stuff. Just pay for the extra. It'll make it so worth it. I'll put some stills on at the end of this. Hopefully I haven't bored you too much, and I'll see you fairly soon with the next build. Thank you very much for watching.
Good morning, gentlemen. The temperature is 110 degrees. Holy shit, it's Viper! Viper's up here, great! Oh, shit. Great. He's probably saying, holy shit, it's Maverick and Goose.
Yeah, I'm sure he's saying that.